Anything pre-Krakoa, I think that's like
Mm-mm.
the uncanny era.
Pre-Coca-Cola.
A different time. A lot of people weren't there. A lot of
A
people
lot
weren't
of people,
there.
okay, but if you were there, you were
If you were
there,
there,
baby.
and it's not
What
too
a time.
late to go there.
It's
You can
not.
always go on Marvel Unlimited and check out all that stuff.
It's
Um,
fine. If and I think a lot of people will eventually do it who just got into comics and are coming into things. I think when you look at a lot of older stuff, it can feel very dated. It looks very different. Art was different. It's very wordy. They used to talk a lot back
a
then.
lot. Yeah.
But I think as people really start to get into these new characters and find their favorites and do like whatever, they'll eventually go back and see it. At least for
Yeah.
them. I'll never forget. I feel like that is like the bread and butter of just comic reading in general. The book isn't there just to be read once. When I like first really started getting into Betsy, and I would go. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another relaunch. I am standing queen, Potira of the Escocida tribe.
Oh. Okay. Boom. And I am Forager or Fred Bug with two G's.
Because you have been rewatching Young Justice, haven't you?
I have been. Quality show.
It's
Storytelling
really
is
good.
fantastic.
Really, really
Yeah.
good. That's good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Although it's been cold here in LA. It's been real
Well,
cold.
what do you consider cold in LA?
Like 60 degrees. But
Oh
like
yeah,
sometimes a
okay.
high of 70.
That's cool. Well, it's been really nice in DC. We've been like in the high
Oh,
70s, 80s. It's been
okay.
real cute. Like spring has sprung, but the pollen is out. I was walking to the grocery store the other day. The cars, they were yellow. I
Ooh.
was like keeping my mask on. We're not doing this.
It is so wild that like masks are like not a thing anymore.
Oh.
you know?
For who? For
Or
you?
like mandatory anymore. you
Oh,
know?
yeah, no, that's kind of crazy. I mean, but it was really interesting because even when they were mandatory here, I remember we took a road trip, me and some friends to Tennessee, and we had stopped in like a part of Virginia, and they had a sign right on the door, and it was like mask optional. It was like do what you want, and I was just like, oh wow, like
But
this is
don't care.
crazy. I was like, well, I'm gonna keep mine on. You guys are fine,
Okay.
but it's like I also thought about that recently, just in terms of like life pre-pandemic, about things that we would do and like how kind of normal was. I would, because I've been doing a little summer shopping. I need to get ready. I want my thighs out, so I've been looking for some cute shorts and stuff. And so
mm.
I haven't been to the mall in a really long time. And I was gonna go, and I was like, "Ew!" I was like, the thought of like trying on some shorts at the mall right now. I was like, "Who else has had these on?"
right? And then you like enter with a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, and it's just like, ew, this is nasty. And it's just like, but I didn't think of any of those things before the pandemic. It was just like, oh, of course I'm gonna go here and go try these shorts on, blah blah blah. But now I'm just like, So now I do all my shopping
Mm,
online. So
same. Well, send us the link to where you find the shorts because I'm always looking.
I haven't found any good one, but I kind of got big thighs a little bit, so.
Oh, I know that's right. I know they heard that.
And let's get into the comics of the week. And we will start up with Eternals number, what was this, 11? Yes,
11. Yeah, this is
11
11.
from Kieran Gillen. And we had a different artist this week. I gotta go back and double check who that is.
It
That's what I still
was,
really
I'm
like.
sorry if I mispronounced their name. It was Gayui Villanova.
Oh, but Matt Wilson was on colors. I love Matt Wilson as colors. He's it.
Yeah.
So, but this issue was a little bit different from some of the regular ones that we've been having. There was still, feel like Eternals has been a very big story about political intrigue and like building the background and all this. And this one felt a little bit more superhero fanfare, which I was actually really
Yeah.
into. We
You know, I
have
like that.
yeah. We have the Avengers and the Eternals kind of clashing. at their headquarters with Kingo. He's pretending to be somebody else, and while he's doing that, Athena, Icarus, and Gilgamesh are trying to protect this town that is about to explode from a plasma gas vent underneath them, done by Thanos and Druid, because evil likes to do evil things. And then they're all getting together. And I actually really like this dynamic. And you remember you were saying you were kind of bored with comics because you feel like, nobody's got that like with each other. They're not like saying nothing. Here we get a lot of that. And I really
listen, I love being proved wrong. Shut me up.
It was good to see. I also like the way that Gillen writes the Eternals and like that clash with Captain Marvel and Phoenix as they continue to call her throughout this book, and Thor and Iron Man, was that throughout this issue he's kind of reminding you like the Eternals are powerful. They have all these different abilities: strength, telepathy, invulnerability, blah blah blah. But like here they are facing these Avengers who are equally, if not stronger than them. And so they still also have people that they can struggle against, and they're not like they're powerful, but they're not unbeatable. And I think that's a really nice way to do that.
Yeah, I thought it was a really cool way, the way that they moved that town by like putting it in that pocket dimension and like moving it and having the narration say, we always talk about how strong the Eternals are, but just how strong is an Eternal? We know they have super strength and what they can do, but just how strong is it? And to see them do those kind of stuff was a really cool thing to really prove how strong they really are. I loved that Black Panther instantly knew that Kingo was not who he said he wasn't, that he knew he was an Eternal. And so the fighting style that he had with them was really cool to see. Yeah, I like the issue a lot. I like the art.
I like it too.
It seems as though the next issue is going to be the last one. I'm not sure if that's been made official yet, but I think that that's going to be the end of the series. I think I had seen something on Twitter where Gillen said that, obviously it's all up to Marvel, but to what happens after that or what this can kind of turn into for the Eternals. So stay tuned to see. But I've been liking the kind of relaunch and rebirth that they've been given with the Eternals. I don't necessarily have like a strong fondness to this group of Eternals, but I'd like to learn more about like the mythos of all of them and learn more about, maybe there's other ones out there that I hadn't seen yet. So
I think this book does a really good job at like branching them out. It'll be interesting to see kind of what happens after Judgment Day, which I feel like again is kind of an Eternals event, and if that relaunches them into a new book, springboard something else, where they go. It's fun. What would you rate this issue?
I would give this issue a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. I like the art and the colors and the fighting. I'm a sucker for the superhero fight stuff. So I liked it. Again, I also liked the world building that's happening for the Eternals.
I agree. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Solid issue. Lots of really good things happening. This is a good Eternals book.
Yeah.
Cool for them. Good for them. Next up is Wonder Woman number 786, and that's from Michael Conrad and Becky Cloonan. And Becky Cloonan also does the art with Rosie Camp. And it is the Trial of the Amazons Part 5. And I really like this issue a lot. I know you kind of tapped it out, but this is like, I'm loving this event. I don't know what it is. I just think like the coming together of all of the different tribes of the Amazons. There's like this big threat that came from Doom's doorway. So the contest is about to start. All the girls are there. Philippus, Yara, Donna, and Diana, being her own independent little person, are in the midst of it. We're about to start, and then there's this big explosion. They get trapped underground, and like all of the Amazons are like, what's going on? They start accusing each other of sabotage. They start fighting. We find out that something is kind of like influencing them from the background. There's this dark presence that is here, and they don't know. And so then all the girls who are on the competition, they're in this cavern. They're trying to figure out a way to get out of it. But like as they're going through, they're kind of like having those moments. One of the things that has happened since Donna returned from like the New 52 way, which was like not very well done, is that she's had a really bad relationship. She's had like a really bad relationship with Diana and the Amazons because of like how she was created as this dark, evil clone thing of Diana. And they like treat her badly, and like she shows some of those frustrations. Like she talks about how she has to do this for the Vana because they've like accepted her, and like Diana's saying stuff to her. She's like, girl, you don't gotta pretend to care about me now. And like Philippus is
That's
like, you know. And so then you have Yara there, and Yara's kind of like, I'm just new to this. I'm just happy to be here. I'm not gonna lie. And you have like Donna being herself and just trying to lead everybody and be in everybody's head. But you know, through it all, it's like a little bit of a trial by fire. They end up coming to fight this big snake woman character. I gotta find her name. It was like Mother something. She was a lamprey. She was hot. She was hot though. Big green snake skin,
okay.
like had fangs. Real cool little beast thing in the
Replacing
cavern.
Medusa kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what it felt like a little bit. But she, you know, she had beef with Hippolyta from back in the day. She said she had been down there for a while, and so they fight her. And like while they're fighting her, they like have their moments of coming together. And we got panels of like Diana and Yara charging with each other, and Philip is helping Donna, and Donna's like, you know, why are you helping me? And she's like, girl, you an Amazon. It don't matter. Get over it. Whatever. You know, and so it was just like a really good issue for them, I felt like. And now we get to it. They've managed to get out of it. However, Diana is stuck in the cavern. And now the queens are like, chaos is here. We got to figure out what's going on. Let's get to it. So the next issue, Cassie's coming back into the picture. She's going to reveal who killed Hippolyta. Yeah. So we're sticking and moving.
Okay.
It's hot. I'd give it like a 4 out of 5. I think the art was really cool. I think the story is moving. I like all of the girls involved. I'm really excited to see like how this continues for the Amazons and everything that's going on. I know Nubia is going to have her coronation book coming out, I think, in May. So that's happening. I'm excited to see kind of what happens with Yara. I know she's going to be a big thing in Dark Crisis. Shout out to her there, which I don't really know if I'm going to tap into yet. I'm kind of like over events right now.
I think I'm excited for it, kinda. I kind of want to tap into it. I'm really interested to see what that whole Nightwing versus Deathstroke fight, and to see how the Justice League dies.
Yeah, I'm
interested to see. I'm gonna tap in for sure.
It's gonna, you know, I just like I think I'm just like, because I think about that, and also the way I'm not really excited for Judgment Day. I think I'm just.
I want to see that too. They got me with that, with the tie-in issue with Exodus on the cover. I'm there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's the one that gets you. We should.
And the X-Men are going to be involved with Lorna on the X-Men too, so I'm there.
I think it'll be fun. And
that's not like everyone wants a little fun
all the time. Anyway, speaking of fun, our next book up is X-Men number 10. And this is from Jerry Duggan and Javier Pina. This is on art. This way, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the art was Javier Pina. So this was a Wolverine-focused issue, and it opens where you kind of explain why she is able to... why she has adamantium claws. So if you recall, she did die during the vault scenario, and then they had to resurrect her. They're showing when they resurrected her that Proteus accidentally gave her the adamantium skeleton, and he was like, oh, I thought all Wolverines are supposed to have that. They were like, no, only her claws were supposed to have it. So that's kind of how they are explaining how she also has a full adamantium skeleton. We see that the X-Men have done a full scan of Phobos, the moon on that is the moon of Araco. And while doing this scan, they learned that there's some adamantium up there, and for some reason it's in this box on a live person. So Wolverine is like, I'm going to go get this, because in her mind, she thinks that it's one of the clones of her, like a Gabby or something, that somehow Phobos got something of theirs of her. So she's like, I'm going to go take care of this. And the X-Men start making bets on how long she's going to last before she gets caught. And while she's up there, she's like, I feel like they wouldn't have asked Wolverine this. Like, she asked them, like, you wouldn't have asked Wolverine, or you wouldn't have like placed bets for Wolverine. And Scott was like, yes, he would have. Scott was Cyclops said, yes, he would have. He would have been the first one to take the bets.
That girl, ain't that your
So
daddy or something? You don't know?
she is. I think we're looking into it, how she's kind of filling in for the shoes of Wolverine and how it's all kind of affecting her.
She's still on that?
I don't know.
Child.
So either way, by the time she gets to where the adamantium is, it turns out that it is Lady Deathstrike, and they end up about to have a fight. And before they have one, Laura's like, "Let's not fight unless you want to have this. You want it to happen like a last time." And they end up fighting anyway.
Last time.
She truly did.
She did. She did that.
They end up fighting again, and once again, Laura cleared her. And it turns out that I guess that Lady Deathstrike she had the adamantium bonding process happening to her, but she's suffering from poisoning from it. So they end up taking her back to Krakoa and fixing it. But I could have swore that, like, didn't her dad invent the process?
Yeah.
I could have sworn Lady Deathstrike's like dad invented the process and like perfected it. So I don't know why she would have poison. Yeah.
And she's a cyborg. And I think that was like a big part of the reason why it didn't.
Yeah.
Because of like her cyborg part.
They talked about the cyborg parts and how they told her, or Phobos, or the Orcus, let her know that they couldn't help her because she was more cyborg than human anyway. So they just had her in that box. But still, I wasn't really sure about the whole adamantium poisoning for her anyway. But they
love
end up
to keep
getting
a good woman down.
They end up getting caught, and Jean finds out by reaching out telepathically. Lorna ends up being shown that she won the bet on how long Wolverine was going to last in there, which I thought was a cute moment. Rogue ends up flying out to kind of rescue Wolverine because when they got caught, they ended up getting launched into space. We also end up getting a nice moment, interesting moment, I should say, between Rogue and Destiny. Destiny meets with her and she says, you need to leave this team. And she's telling her, I've seen some bad things that happen. And Rogue is like, I'm not like listening to that right now. You're wasting your gifts on this instead of like doing good for people. So Rogue leaves. And lets her know that it's going to be a shame when you end up coming right back to me because I know what happened. Yeah. So yeah,
that's interesting. I didn't think they were going to go the kind of I guess, I don't know if it's antagonistic relationship with Rogue in Destiny, but like so tense.
Right. Yeah,
that's interesting.
I see what you mean. I thought it was going to be like a softer.
Because I feel like that was always something they tried to like emphasize in the past, of like Destiny was a little bit softer with Rogue than like Mystique was and her methods, and they were like really close. So it's interesting. I mean, I don't hate it. I actually still think that's a little bit more interesting. But I'm just I think so too. I wasn't expecting it. Maybe that's why I like it.
Yeah, it's different. I like it. So yeah, that was issue. Pretty fun, low key kind of issue. The next one is going to be the girls going to Game World, so we'll see what's going on there. Which turns out that they find out how to get to Game World from Rocket Raccoon, because I don't know how, but Rogue and Rocket know each other, and they're friendly.
She was an Avenger.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. I guess that's fair. That didn't make sense to me when I was reading it, but that makes sense now. I guess she was.
Like, she's Rogue. I mean, she's like Rogue. I feel like Rogue is kind of like, we've talked about it, she's a big superhero. I feel like everybody knows Rogue is that girl everybody gets along with.
Yeah.
She's the it girl.
She's great. I just wish that, like, I really will always say that I wish that they focused more on her powers than trying to give her someone else's. I think she's cool with her own. But that's me. I would give the issue overall a 3.5 out of 5. Sometimes the art was a little dark at moments. I wish there weren't so many inks, but that's more my own personal taste. But I still like the issue. It's fun. I'm excited for the next one with the girls going again.
Yeah, that should be a fun issue. Girls' night out issues are always good times.
Yeah. Yeah, put the
Okay.
heels on, use your powers. I'm excited to see.
Maybe. All right, let's go ahead and take a little break, and then we'll come on back.
Let's do it. I actually really liked X of Swords. I got
It
to
was
go
a
back
hot.
and read it. I think I enjoyed it.
They try and shade it, but it was great. It did what needed to be done, and it relaunched like the second era of Krakoa with Araka.
It gave me sword. Hello,
Period.
mutants in space. You know I'm all up for that. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the panel section of the show. And this week, I'm going to take a little bit of a character spotlight on one of my favorite characters. I know I say this a lot, but like, I really do love this character.
That's not a bad thing though. Like you should love characters. Like that's good. That's
Yeah,
okay.
I really do. He is probably my favorite of what I call the Sun Brothers, and this is going to be over Neal Shaara, Thunderbird, which he needs a
Ooh.
new code name.
Mm,
Let's go ahead and start there. We need a new code name.
he does need
John Proudstar can keep Thunderbird. He can have it. It's his. He started it with it. He can keep it. Um, but I first was introduced to Neil back in 2000 when I was like 10, and um, Extreme X-Men was going on. That was written by Chris Claremont with art by I think. Ah man, I forget who was doing the art on Extreme X-Men, but
Salvador LaRocca.
yes, LaRocca, that's right. Great stuff then too. I remember I've been like have so many like vivid memories of reading Extreme X-Men. Shout out to my dad because that was on his pull list. That was what he was reading at the time. And I think that was around the time when I was actually just getting into the X-Men and into comics, or into current comics, I should say. When I started reading, I don't know, when I was like 5 or 6, my dad mostly just gave me like the Phoenix Saga and these like older 80s books. But around when I was like 10, I wonder, I have to go back and ask him because I wonder if he like stopped reading comics and then like
Mm,
they must have been relaunching something. You know how they do this to us now, and like
yeah.
you may have been off of a book for a while, and they did some relaunch or something, and that got him hype. I'm gonna ask him if that was what
Yes, that'd be
that's
interesting to
what
know.
Extreme
I'm
X.
always jealous when you talk about your stories with your dad reading comics. It's so sweet. I love it.
Yeah, he got me into this stuff. I find it funny that like I'm sure there were certain characters probably me to get into, but I always like the girl.
Yeah.
um, but with Neil, I actually really enjoy Neil because again, I've always been a pretty big energy character kind of person. Um, and Neil is a mutant with the power to generate solar plasma, and he can shoot these plasma bolts and also fly, which I really thought was dope. He is from Calcutta. He was actually the first Indian X-Men on the team, so I thought that he's like the very first one, which I thought was pretty cool. He's got a really like connected past to a lot of very important X-Men characters. So
He
he
does.
he is a supposed to be a very good-looking man. He's from Calcutta. His parents have this like big tea farm, but his dad is also a like the chief of police, and his brother was a reporter, and he was checking on these like disappearances that were happening to people. Um, and the dad was like, I've got some police officers on it, like don't worry about it. And Neil felt like he wasn't doing enough, so Neil decided to go off. He didn't feel like his dad was doing enough, so he decided to go out and look for his brother on his own. His dad had a woman by the name of Karima Shapender to follow after him, who we know to be Omega Sentinel.
Mm.
Turns out when they were on the track, they ended up finding their brother, and he was actually being turned into an Omega Sentinel by one of my favorite villains, Bastion, at the time when he was doing, I think it was Operation Zero Tolerance was the name of the event, where Bastion decided to just go after all the mutants. And he turned his brother into a Omega Sentinel, and he also ended up turning Karima into an Omega Sentinel. So that's actually where she's got her start. For those who may have recently just read Inferno or any of the stuff that's going on, but that was in Hoxpox, or a lot of it was going on in Krakoa, really. She's like a part of, she's a pretty big character. Before she turned, Karima and Neal were like kind of in love while they were going on this investigation looking for Neal's brother. They had fallen for each other, and she fought off her Sentinel programming in enough time for Neal to get away, because while they both were about to be turned into Sentinels, Neal's powers activated, and that's what stopped him from being turned. She ended up actually becoming fully turned. She just tried to fight it to let him get away. She couldn't save his brother. He ended up dying while he was a Sentinel. And Karima ends up becoming a villain, basically. And Neal ends up joining the X-Men. So his ties to join the X-Men happened because his family is very affluent, and they actually ended up being family friends with Moira McTaggart. So when his powers activated, he ended up going to Moira to kind of have tests run on him and to learn more about his powers. And of course, that's where he ended up meeting the X-Men. Now we know, who knows what Moira was doing at that time, but all of these, like, rereading old books and seeing Moira pop up, like, completely gives a different context to her. And sometimes it really works, though, because
she says like, little things sometimes that make you think like, oh, she's hiding a secret.
Exactly. Or like, I'll never forget, there was one issue where I read something and she was having a conversation with Charles, and Storm walks in and they stopped talking. And Storm was like, oh, what are you guys talking about? And they were like, oh, don't worry about it. And it's crazy how that reads a lot differently now. But anywho, Neal ends up joining the X-Men because he wants to train with his powers, and he also has a very like adventurous kind of spirit to him. He was being written kind of like Havoc during the Outback era, but with all the messing up. If that makes sense. Yeah. Because the one thing about Neal is that his powers, because they are the plasma of the sun, or solar plasma, they can like kill people, and he has to really know how much output he needs to put without damaging anyone. And I know that was also a big thing for Havoc, that he always, his powers was going to kill someone. So Neal has a very similar thing where he's like, I can't really use my powers on people, I kill them. On top of, he has a kind of a no-kill rule already from his own religion, but he does want to help and be a part of the X-Men and really push the mutant agenda. So he ended up joining the X-Men, and while there, he fell for another woman, Miss Betsy Braddock. And at the time, she had
you don't need to air my sister out there.
I'm just saying. He popped up on the team, and sparks flew instantly for them. They were rolling around in the snow, and then Betsy's man showed up, and Betsy ended up, I think, breaking it off with Angel and letting him know, first of all, I can look at whoever I want to. Actually, let me take that back. Angel dumped her.
Yeah, he dumped her, but she did still say, I can look at whoever I want to.
Right. So she was, cheating a little bit. It was starting a little something. But they ended up getting together, and they were really cute and coupley for a while on the team before Betsy ended up dying in combat against Vargas while they were looking for the Destiny Diaries, because the Extreme X-Men kind of broke off from the regular X-Men while the Destiny Diaries story was kind of going on. Storm decided to leave the X-Men, lead her own team, and look after these because they didn't really want Xavier to get them, because Xavier is not the nicest man. So he was with the Extreme X-Men. He really got to train with his powers. He trained a bunch with Psylocke before she died. He also trained a bunch with Bishop, who was on the team, and really tried to show him how much you can hone your abilities, even though they are very dangerous, that you can really use your abilities in other ways. I think it was really cool where he used the solar plasma that he generates, and he made this like really cool ball and threw it into a group of people. And I think I forget who was next to him, but they said, that's going to kill all those people. And he's like, that's not the plan, actually, because I've made the plasma so hot that it's going to ignite the air and cause a concussion like wave to happen. So he basically made like a grenade without hitting people, like an air grenade, basically. So I thought it was really cool where he found different ways for him to really be effective on the field and for his team when he's fighting something that can't be killed. Other times when they were fighting robots, he would go all out. So at the end of Extreme X-Men, or his time on Extreme X-Men anyway, he ended up leaving the team after they kind of saved everyone from Vargas and from this enemy Khan that came over. I definitely highly recommend like the first 20 issues of Extreme X-Men out there for people.
That was good really... modern Claremont. That was some good.
It was.
Right there.
Good, that was good Claremont right there. He ended up leaving the team because they had some new members that joined, Lifeguard and her brother Slipstream. And her brother freaked out after finding out that they were also Shi'ar, and Lifeguard needed help finding him. So Thunderbird, decided to go with her and kind of do that. So that was the last time he was actually seen pre-Krakoa. Also, I think sometimes people may get confused with his powers versus, a Sunspot versus a Sunfire. And the way that I look at, Sunspot literally becomes a Sunspot. So, and he gains like the strength or whatever, but I think he has to activate his powers or be in that form to use them. Sunfire and my suggestion for a code name is Sunwave. Sunfire.
I like Sunwave though. I feel like that's nice. I mean, I feel like, because obviously the name Thunderbird doesn't work for him. I really kind of wonder what the basis of Claremont giving him that name was.
I think he just liked it. Didn't he create the original Thunderbird?
No, that was before his time. That was
yeah, that's right. That was
Lin Wine.
That's all new. Yeah.
Yeah.
Giant size. I don't know. Maybe he just liked it. I don't know. Maybe he just liked it.
That's weird.
It doesn't like really fit his.
That's hot. It's different. I can't think of like any characters named Sunwave. It's hot.
I don't think that's out there. It's his. Pick it up, Marvel.
I'm into.
I think that the difference between his powers and Sunfire is that if you look at the sun, Sunfire basically produces like the fire that is coming off of the sun that you see, and Neal can generate the actual like the core sun, the plasma parts of it. So they are like two halves of a whole sun.
Did you like the X-Corp stuff and like him kind of like interviewing for that position?
Not really. I didn't really want to see him in like a boardroom or like doing that kind of stuff. That seemed kind of like the opposite of where he was as a character prior to being on Krakoa. While they were kind of putting him with X-Corp pre-Krakoa.
Because I was about to say the X-Corp thing, I remember they were like building up to him and kind of like getting into the business aspect of it and like setting up the different facilities and stuff.
Yeah, but it felt like shelving, to be honest.
That's fair.
It felt like shelving, and it did feel like when he was talking about X-Corp in Extreme X-Men, it felt more like he wanted to be like out on the field, helping mutants in some way as X-Corp as the sponsor for whatever they were doing as far as missions or whatever. He didn't seem as though he wanted to be on the business side of stuff.
So he wanted it to be like a rescue group.
Exactly, a rescue
kind
group.
of type of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Like a Red Cross situation.
Exactly.
Something like
is more something he was looking for. His dad was a chief of police, and he fell for Karima, and he fell for really into the whole like X-Men adventure kind of stuff. I think he was more aligned to the adventure and rescue stuff than just trying to be in a office.
Okay. If you if
X-Corp had an adventure team, then sure.
Then he could join them, but he can't be in charge.
No.
um, so I guess like knowing that he's on Krakoa, at least it gives a lot of weight. I feel like one thing that Krakoa has been doing a really good job of is not kind of just showing characters once. Like if we see them doing something prominent, I feel like we'll see them again at some point in time. I can't say when, but like they will pop up somewhere else. So that leaves a good impression. I feel like people know
Yeah.
who he is. We've seen him. He's doing things. So I think he could be. Is there any particular book that you'd like to see him in?
Not necessarily currently. Not necessarily currently. Maybe X-Men, that would be fun. Um,
Okay.
but or maybe X-Men Red. Oh, maybe Storm picks him up for the Brotherhood again since he was on her Extreme X.
That could be fun. Everybody wants their favorite X-Men Red. I get it. I get it.
Absolutely. So maybe he could join there. But overall, I feel like the book that I would like to see him in doesn't really exist because I think that he should be in a like adventure exploration kind of thing.
Hmm.
Probably like kind of what Marauders was set out to be, where they were like going around rescuing mutants and like doing that kind of stuff.
What they never did.
That yeah, but they never did. Maybe that
They did it in that one flashback issue. That's not
time.
fair.
And I think they're doing it now, but they like went to space right after. So
Yeah, they did. I've read that first issue. It was my first and last.
see, so that's what I'm saying. I think the book that I would like to see him in just does not exist yet. But who knows?
Okay.
Maybe there are gonna be more things announced. But I'd like to see him on more of like an adventure exploration kind of thing.
Who were
I don't
like
know.
his favorite relationships that you saw and that you like read and you're did any stick out to you that you kind of want to see revisited?
I did like him and Bishop together.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the kind of mentory stuff that he was doing with Bishop on
Mm-hmm.
top of on top of the fact that it also let him use his powers more because Bishop would want to get like charged up and
Yeah. Who
that's
better?
that's what Neil that's what Neil could do. So that was really cool. And he would also like, explain to him just different ways where he could use his energy abilities. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was great. Um, I liked I think that he learned a lot about like, standing up for yourself on a team from Rogue because
Mm.
while they were on the Extreme X-Men, Rogue was always like, I don't really want to look for the Destiny Diaries. I want us to like do something else. And she would just run off and kind of like get some things done. And I think that he was able to watch her do that and kind of be like, oh, okay,
I can do this too.
I can do this too.
Okay. Hmm. Okay. Goatee or
Yeah.
no goatee?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because goatee was hot.
Goatee was hot.
The goatee was hot.
I think goatee with the hair that he had in Extreme X-Men, yes. If we're
Okay.
gonna cut shorter, then no goatee.
Okay. So Sunwave with the goatee and the hair from Extreme
New and a new design. We need a new costume.
and a new costume doing action adventure with the Marauders, but not the Marauders.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's update what they were doing in Extreme X-Men. Oh, maybe that's the team. Maybe Extreme X-Men are relaunched with that.
I did always like the Extreme adjective. It's one of my favorites of the brand.
Maybe
I'm not gonna lie.
maybe that's the team.
I love it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they? Oh, never mind. I was about to say, are they allowing like more than one X-Men? But like, no, we've got X-Men and we've got X-Men Red, so you can have Extreme X-Men now. We're really not getting Uncanny back. I don't
I don't
necessarily
think
need
so.
it. I just think it's interesting.
I think that's now like indicative of an era over anything else than a brand. I feel like
Mm.
Uncanny X-Men now represents like pre-Krakoa.
Oh, I didn't think of it that way.
It's the Uncanny era. And then
I
I just
can
remember during Hoxpox, that's kind of what he called it, like in a better way
Hoxpox.
than I said it. But I remember like when they were going through the timeline, they showed like the Uncanny era,
Hmm.
um, and it was everything
Oh, I
else.
think I remember that. It was like there was Uncanny, there was new X-Men where
Hmm.
like Grant Morrison came on, um, but there were four.
I remember one being called like the Lost era. But either way, I think like that entire section, anything pre-Krakoa, I think that's like
Mhm.
the uncanny era.
Pre-Krakoa.
A different time. A lot of people weren't there. A lot of
A
people
lot
weren't
of people.
there.
Okay, but if you were there, you were
If you were
there,
there,
baby.
and it's not
What
too
a time.
late to go there. You know,
It's
you can
not.
always go on Marvel Unlimited and check out all that stuff.
It's fine. If you know, and I think a lot of people will eventually do it who just got into comics and are coming into things. I think when you look at a lot of older stuff, it can feel very dated. It looks very different. Art was different. It's very wordy. They used to talk a lot back
A
then.
lot. Yeah.
But I think as people really start to get into these new characters and find their favorites and do like whatever, they'll eventually go back and see it. At least for
Yeah.
them. I'll never forget. I feel like that is like the bread and butter of just comic reading in general. The book isn't there just to be read once. When I like first really started getting into Betsy, and I would go back, or even when I would talk about deep dives with characters that I do, like reading Enchantress stuff. Yes, some of it was absolutely ridiculous. They beat her once because she like tripped over a knife, but it was like, you know what I'm saying? But it also kind of like makes you really appreciate where the character has come now, and you just get to see a different version of them, and it really brings certain characterizations or certain things to light. And you can look at something. There were things that were happening over in Excalibur that I would be like, oh, what? But then when I went back and reread some of that like super old Captain Britain stuff that she was in, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they'll do.
I
I'm
definitely
glad
think sometimes you got to go back, but check it out.
Neil was fun though. He could come by. He should bring Lifeguard back though.
Oh, Lifeguard's fun. Yeah. How did you like her powers? Did you like her powers being mixed with the Shi'ar stuff?
I thought it was kind of weird, but it was also like whatever.
Yeah.
It's
I thought
like
when she had like that like bird turkey neck thing, I thought that was
yeah,
weird.
like when in the beginning it was just kind of like her adapting to like save herself and like other people, like the actual lifeguard thing. I was like that was cool. When she first appears and she turns into like the golden goddess Colossus thing, metal. I was like,
That was
this is a
hot.
hot design. And then they gave her that
Hmm.
little red costume. I was like, she looks good.
Also
And then
hot.
she turned
I was
into a
into the
bird.
wings.
Hmm.
I was cool. She kept the wings. The bird part could have left, but I like the wings.
I guess I'll allow the wings. That's fine. The Purple. It's
They're
just,
different.
and and it's weird because her and Neil have both shared the fate of kind of getting mentioned a lot throughout different books in different eras, but never actually appearing. Like you said, there was the X Corp stuff with him. I think he like showed up in something in the background, like during Disassemble, and then I think about
Hmm.
Lifeguard. During the Regenesis era, they had put her in that like street team with Dazzler and Boom Boom that we never actually saw on panel. But it was just like, oh, they're always around.
Yeah. They just don't put them in the book.
They just don't put them in the book. It's like, what's
And
going
I
on
think
here?
I think Lifeguard was at the Blue Lagoon in like that big splash page
I
with all the
was, yeah.
characters.
King and Queen.
Yeah. I do like her a lot though. I wish that they didn't take it too far with her Shi'ar like morphing part. I wish we can kind of maybe streamline that into
Yeah.
just her lifeguard abilities. But she's a cool character. Maybe no, I was gonna say maybe they got together or something because he did follow her and try to help her look for her
They
brother.
was having a little thing. She was his
They
rebound
were.
after
They,
Betsy.
they it was, yeah, she was. I didn't want to bring that up because I don't want them together. Okay, let's move on from that. I don't
Well,
really know who I would put him with, actually.
I don't think he needs to be with anybody right now. Honestly, the way that Neil, from what I remember reading about him, he's kind of like a flirt and a player.
He's very much a flirt. Yeah.
It's like, and that's why him and Betsy got along. It
Mhm.
was like, oh, we gonna have some fun. Very
Yeah, he's very, very flirty.
Because I even think like when he was first appearing, he was meeting Jean. He was flirting with her.
Hmm.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
Karima, Jean, Betsy, Heather, Lifeguard. He be moving through. So I think like that's kind of his thing. It's like the New Age Gambit, Roberto.
Okay. Yeah, it's the sun thing.
They hide.
It comes with the power.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would like to see him back on the Krakoa era. So yeah, I just wanted a little spotlight on him or sunlight on him. Boom. Let's go ahead and take a break and then we'll come right back.
Cool. Boom, 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 boom. Hello, hello,
Never had a massage.
hello. I have, and it was amazing. I actually had a hot stone massage. It was like really, really good. I didn't realize that
Oh,
you would be so sore the next day, though.
really? Is it how?
Yeah.
Well, I've never had a massage actually.
Oh, really? You should
I
definitely treat
changed that
yourself to
shit.
one. They feel amazing. Like in the moment, like once you're gone, you feel really relaxed and you feel it. But it's like I guess like the muscles like resetting and all that stuff. You feel like so
Mm-hmm.
stiff and just
Mm.
like in pain a little bit, and it's just like damn. But like that's the thing because you're supposed to go back and keep doing it, so like you don't feel that type of way.
I'm gonna get one. Why not treat myself?
Do it. I love that for you. Yeah. And welcome back to another watch of Moon Knight, episode 3. And I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna just cut to the chase. I ain't actually like this episode.
Damn.
I thought that
Really?
I've been enjoying the show a lot. Again,
I
I think
liked it.
Oscar Isaac is I think Oscar Isaac is like acting immaculately. I think that the CGI is like a little wonky, but again, I personally don't think the MCU as a whole has good CGI, so I'm just kind of like whatever. I'll take it as it
I didn't
is.
think the CGI this episode was
Um,
that bad. I thought it was better than the previous one.
um
I thought the star scene
that's
was
the
cool.
star scene was nice. That was actually really hot. I did enjoy that a lot, and I still like Khonshu and a lot of the relationships that are going on. I think the girl
Khonshu
Layla,
actually also looks really great, I think.
he does look again. He's using all the budget. um, I think the girl Layla, I don't really enjoy the scenes of her and Mark, but I do enjoy her scenes with Steven a lot. I think like when Oscar Isaac switches over to Steven and like him and Layla together, I think like that chemistry is like off the chain and they feel like they're really getting along because she sees him as like, oh, this is kind of like probably the guy I want Mark to be and like into the things that I'm into. And then Steven's looking at her as like, oh, she's just this beautiful goddess woman who thinks I'm somebody interesting. Um,
Hmm.
I
They
do
an
also
actor.
acting down, okay? Like they
Yeah, they
run
an
with that.
actor.
And that was like one of the parts the CGI when they were like on the boat. Like I thought that scene was kind
Mm.
of horrible. Um
Yeah. Sometimes I will say they definitely do look like there's a blue screen and they're like on a set or something. I do.
and I do still like the way they do the kind of blackouts where
Mm.
who'll be in the situation, it blacks out, and then we go and then like something happened, we see he's like kill people. But then I love the little story in between of like him and Steven kind of going back and forth, like you're doing this, I'm not doing it, because we know what that means. Mr. Jake Lockley is coming.
Now, which one is he?
So Jake is like not so in the comic books, Jake is the persona he used as a cab driver to like get info from people on
Oh.
the streets. You know, he would like take people around. Over the years, they've kind of made Jake the more aggressive personality, where he does a lot of the fighting. So during the Max Bemis run, Mark actually had a son. Him and I mean, excuse me, not a son, a daughter. Him and Marlene had a kid together, and we find out that it was actually Jake who had the child with Marlene and not Mark, and so Mark didn't even know about it.
Mm.
But that's the thing with Jake. They changed
Drama.
him very much so. All within they only really try and bring Mark out for like the bad stuff. So like I thought that was a really nice little Easter egg to be like, oh, okay, somebody else is also in here, and then like we now know that like Jake is going to go to the extremes that everybody else isn't, and that's why they scared him. I love me some Jake Lockley, so I was really excited about that.
Okay.
Um, but my main issue with this episode was that it felt very rushed. I felt like the pacing was off and it was kind of like moving super quick to get from like point A to point B, and then we just like jumped straight over to point G. And it was like, hold on, how do we get here? And again, I feel like a lot of that is because of just how the MCU formats it shows and it only being 6 episodes. That's why I say I would still kind of love 2 more so we could like flesh things out a little bit. But I feel like I'm hopeful that because we have gotten to the point of G, that 4, 5, and 6 will seem a little bit smoother in how we get them.
Yeah. This may have been the one that kind of just really was the let's get to the point episode,
Yeah.
or let's speed things up. While I did appreciate that in episode one, where like, by the end of the first episode, we were already in the suit. Um, I did also maybe agree that this one did kind of go really fast. I was watching this with a friend and he was like, wait, when did Layla accept that Mark also had Steven and everything like that going on. I said,
Yeah.
oh, that's a good point. Because I could have swore she was just like
I
not
don't
even
believe
into this whole.
this.
Yeah. But all of a sudden she was totally cool with it. It was, oh, bring out Steven or whatever. So that kind of really went by really fast. Um, Again, I did think that whenever something happened, like Mark kind of conveniently knew where to go next. So
Hmm.
it did feel like they were just kind of like moving the plot along, trying to get towards what I assume would be like, the bigger splashes of 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
How the MCU do that. The penultimate episode is always the one that is
Hmm.
the one that sets it off. Some sort of five will probably see the payoff that 3 rushed through.
Yeah. And then we'll see. I'm interested in the reveal of Jake, and I'm interested to see like if when Jake does pop up, if he gets his own suit and what it looks like. I have a friend who's like
Oh.
super into Moon Knight as well. We've been chatting about it, and in the comics, he has this one suit that has like some black lining on it, over like with white armor almost over top of that, and he thinks that that'll be Jake's suit.
Wait, the one suit, did he have it when we reread the Warren Ellis run and he had
Yes,
like the with the like chest plate?
yes, that's
Oh
it.
yeah. I like that one.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
His theory is that that one's going to be Jake's suit, which I wouldn't be mad at. I think that's a really hot one. And I was like, it works. So I was like, Mark's got this one. Steven's got the tux, and then Jake gets that
That does make sense. That one is the more armored one, look
one.
a bit more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I love the moon shaped uh cape that he did when he jumped off of that roof and
Yeah,
started to come and fight those guys. That looked dope. I did
that's
think that
always good.
The Moon Knight CGI looked better in this episode than it did in the previous one.
I can give you that as well. It was still a little wonky though, but we'll see. Um, there's still a lot of things I like about the show, and I still like the show as a whole, and I'm still excited to see where it goes. Again, this Moon Knight story is really different from a lot of the stuff that we get in comics. His ones in the books aren't necessarily as attuned to Egyptian mythology in the way that this one is, and like kind of seeing
Because
the
this is
other
a lot of
gods.
that.
Yeah, it's a lot of that, which I actually enjoy. I think it is something that I would have liked to see a little bit more in the book, so I'm interested to see how they explore it here, and even if later, if we get more of that in his books, because we know that MCU synergy loves to rear its ugly head.
You know it. You know it. I'm sure there will definitely be some other avatars of Khonshu popping up in the comics fairly soon because they really seem to emphasize that whole thing. There's like a pantheon of all the different gods and their avatars that are on still left on Earth that they're only supposed to observe though. They're not supposed to get involved in like they don't want to get involved in the affairs of man, which
Yeah.
seems to be a very common theme amongst gods or anyone
Which like
who's
don't make no sense
will
because
last for
they're
a
the
long
messiest
time.
ones of all.
I guess like humans and humanity is just beneath all of them. It's like why not get messy with other gods? We gotta get messy with
Mhm.
them.
We'll see. We'll see. But I do like it. I'm interested to see where it goes. Again, I think the show does a lot of different things. It's mixing a lot of different stories of Moon Knights and kind of putting in here with giving it its own twist. Again, Layla's like a brand new character. We've gotten little Easter eggs. There was a Kang Easter egg in this one as well.
Yes,
And
supposedly on the back of someone jacket, I think there was a
hmm
thing of Kang.
yeah, so that could be very exciting. You know, he's lived a lot of lives. People look at him as a god. It's cool. He's around my tooth.
Kang is such an interesting villain because I don't like time travel, but I do like Kang.
It's the helmet and the thigh high boots.
I do like a Taha boot.
They look
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, but overall, yeah, I'm still into the show very much.
Yeah.
I
It's
also
Chuck.
like that we see his suits, and we didn't have to wait till the last episode like we did with WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I do. I do think that sometimes people aren't giving this show the props that I think that it deserves because there's no girl to like obsess over. There's no magic girl.
They love a magic girl. Well, they hated
Yeah.
WandaVision at first, but then they ended up loving it by the
Once you start showing them powers, that's really all it takes.
end.
But I personally think I think Moon Knight's so far been pretty good. I like this episode more than the previous one. I also don't have the biggest ties to Moon Knight, so like I'm not the super like checking for stuff in it. I'm just going along for the ride. You know, kind of how I've been for the MCU so far. They haven't really started touching on all of my faves yet. I'm just going along for the ride.
You got the Marvels coming up. I think
Yeah. Except
I am a,
Taskmaster. I'll never get over that.
oh yeah, they did you dirty with that one. I am a Moon Knight fan, but I think I'm just kind of like taking this as it is. I do like that this feels very far removed from the MCU. It's not a lot of mention. It does feel like its own thing, its
No.
own pocket, and we're not mentioning a lot of stuff and getting tied in or tied down by other stuff.
But they did
So-
mention Madripoor.
Yeah, oh, they did, which I love Madripoor, so you know I was here for that.
They did mention Madripoor, which makes me feel like not only have they been there before already, now they're mentioning it. When we get Wolverine, he's definitely going to be Patch at some point.
Ooh,
I think I'm expecting the white suit and the.
Patch, Tiger, Rose, all them, Betsy.
I'm expecting more Madripoor because they name drop that in this episode.
Yeah,
And rest in peace to the one guy. I can't remember his character's name, but I know he passed from a ski accident. He was in the show.
That was very sad.
Yeah. Still a great episode though. I liked it. I still have my worries about the whole Jewish thing. I don't know if they're gonna mention it anymore.
I don't think that's happening. Which is like that's nasty.
That's wild. Wow.
I can't believe that. That's kind of crazy to me.
Maybe Jake it.
Maybe they'll try and add it in later. I don't know, but I don't know how they're doing these shows. Like a lot of these shows aren't getting second seasons.
No, and I think they've said that this is only going to be a limited series.
Like, how did Loki get a second series? Second season.
I don't know. People love Loki. They streamed Loki.
Oh. Anyways, I think they like Tom Hiddleston. That's what
that too. Mm-hmm.
Loki.
Didn't he date Taylor Swift?
He did, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
I don't know how he did that. Good thing he got out.
But no, I don't know. It'll be interesting, I guess, to see like how they follow up. But like, obviously, Sam is getting Captain America for the movie, but like with Moon Knight, will they? But I guess Midnight Suns is still a thing.
Oh, that's definitely coming.
Blade and like
Blade.
And who else is in the Midnight Suns? Ghost Rider sometimes.
Ghost Rider.
Doctor Strange. But he might die, so who knows what's gonna happen with him.
They'll probably put a new magic person in there. I don't know who else is in like a supernatural. Oh, Clea.
She's coming. I think.
She deserves.
She does. She's got a new book. Everybody make sure you read it if you're not Strange. It's good.
I wonder if you think they'll like roll that into her own solo book after Strange comes back?
I'll say yes.
We'll see. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Definitely let us know if you guys are watching Moon Knight and what you think about this episode. You can catch us on wherever you get your podcast at Another Relaunch. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Another Relaunch. You can find us on YouTube if you want to watch us at Another Relaunch TV. You can find me on most social media platforms at Uncanny LZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
You guys know you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Keenan Lance. And as always, there's an underscore at the end.
Boom. All right, y'all. Let's get up out of here and we'll catch you next week.
Peace.